We have been speaking of the world Redeemer, his problems, how those whom he came to save turn his antagonists, his difficulties. He has seized life's hands, he has mastered his own heart. The feints of nature, tricks of nature, mislead not his sight. Inflexible his look towards truth's far end. His gaze is never deflected. It is always pointed, unbending, towards the end of truth, however far. In the dreadful passages, the fatal paths, invulnerable his soul, his heart unslain. There are passages which are frightful, painful, paths which lead to fall, but his soul is invulnerable. It cannot be attacked, it cannot be brought down, and his heart is unslain. Though his body may be slain, his heart is not slain. He lives through the opposition of earth's powers and nature's ambushes and the world's attacks. He faces the opposition of earth's powers, the powers of which Sri Aurobindo speaks in his book The Mother, which have held the earth as their kingdom, the powers of falsehood, the powers of ignorance, and nature's ambushes. Nature shows very attractive fronts, and when you walk into the trap, you find you have been captured. And world's attacks are the attacks of the world. People who inhabit the world. Earth's powers are occult attacks. Nature's ambushes are traps set by nature, and world's attacks are attacks by humanity. His spirit stature transcending pain and bliss. His spirit stature, his soul, his inner self, it is above pain and bliss. He fronts evil and good with calm and equal eyes. He can do that. He can face evil and good with calm and equal eyes because he has risen above the reactions of pain and bliss. He too must grapple with the riddling Sphinx and plunge into her long obscurity. We have already come across this mythological figure of Sphinx. She asks riddles to people who pass her way, and those who can't answer, she gobbles up. And only one person succeeded in answering this Sphinx. It is a woman who is described in mythology as sitting at the crossroads, number of roads. She is sitting there, and anybody passing, she would ask a question. and that will be in the form of a riddle, paradox. And he who couldn't answer, she would eat him up, she would kill him. But one day, there was a person who answered a riddle, and that riddle was, what is it that has two legs in the morning, four legs in the morning, two legs at noon, and three legs in the evening? The man, the journeyman, promptly replied that it is man. Because when man is a child, he walks on all fours. He has four legs. When he comes of age, he walks on two legs. When he becomes old, in old age, he takes a stick. So there are three legs. The moment he answered the riddle, that the woman threw herself to death, and that was her end. So, anybody who prompts you with challenging riddles is compared to the Sphinx. So, even the world Redeemer has to grapple with this question, with this riddle of life, and plunge into a long obscurity. He has broken into the inconscient depths that veil themselves even from their own regard. The inconscient depths, what in Indian mythology is called Patala, and still low, Atala, Vitala, and lower regions, which are the source of falsehood, ignorance, deformation. Now into those depths, the world Redeemer has broken into that. And these depths are such, they hide themselves from their own sight. Sri Aurobindo speaks elsewhere of motives which people hide from their own regard. So similarly, there are levels where they behave as if they do not exist. Now all those have been plumbed by the world Savior. He has seen God's slumber shape the magic world. That is, he has watched God in sleep shape, build up these worlds of magic. How does God shape in sleep? In the Upanishads, they speak of 3 or 4 statuses of God, the creative spirit. First is the waking self. Waking self, which takes cognizance of this waking world. All of us function on this waking level. Next is the dream self. It is a world of dreams where everything is moving, but the rigidity of the waking state, the limitations of space and time of the waking self are not there. And that is called the dream self, who casts dreams, many of them, in the earth zone. And above that is the sleep self, where the creative spirit is imaged as closing his eyes into deep sleep. He is called Prajna, and in that trance he creates this world. So it is not a sleep of our kind, but a highly creative sleep. His eyes are always closed, and in that sushupti, sleep when he is lost to the outer worlds, he creates, and a portion of which materializes as our world. That is God shaping the worlds in his slumber. He has seen that. He has watched the dumb God fashioning matter's frame. Before matter came to be, before material forms got themselves shaped, the consciousness of God, dumb, inconscient, insensible, it goes on working in the depths and exerts pressure by which these vibrations come together, form fragments of matter. By the consciousness force of the divine truth behind the veil, he has watched the dumb God fashioning matter's frame, dreaming the dreams of its unknowing sleep. As the force, as the Shakti works behind the veil, it goes on dreaming what it is going to build, and watched the unconscious force that built the stars. He has learned the inconscient's workings and its law, the world redeemer. He has learned how the inconscient works, what's the law that the inconscient obeys, its incoherent thoughts and rigid acts, its hazard wastes of impulse and idea, the chaos of its mechanic frequencies, its random calls, its whispers, falsely true. Now here is a paradox. Its whispers, which are falsely true, the inconscient whispers. But what it whispers is not true. But when you do it, it leads you to something that is true. Its whispers falsely true, misleaders of the hooded listening soul. The soul, in its earlier formative stages, is hooded, masked, but it listens. And the messengers of the inconscient mislead it, deflect it from its purpose. All things come to its ear, but nothing abides to the inconscient. All rose from the silence, all goes back to its hush. Its somnolence founded the universe. Somnolence is activity when one is asleep. We speak of somnambulism. When people get up and walk and do things in sleep, they are unaware of what they are doing, but they do things. They even write poems. Now, the force of the inconscient is not conscious, but it works. It carries out things without being aware of it. Its obscure waking makes the world seem vain. And when there is a bit of consciousness, when there is a bit of wakefulness, one wonders, what is all this going on? Everything is destined to die, everything is destined to disintegrate, what was yesterday is not today. So why? So one wonders, the world seems vain. A reason from nothingness and towards nothingness turned. Its dark and potent nations was earth's start. When the earth began, it arose from a nothingness. Nothingness means which the mind can't measure, which the mind cannot assess, and turn towards nothingness, the superconscious. Its dark and potent nations was earth's start. It is a potent nations, not an empty nations. Potent because all the possibilities are there. It is the waste stuff from which all was made, the inconscient. Into its deeps, creation can collapse. Its opposition clocks the march of the soul. It is the mother of our ignorance. Inconscience, when it shakes, the first product is ignorance. He must call light, he who wants to save the world, he must call light into its dark abysms, bottomless pits, else can never truth conquer matter's sleep, and all earth look into the eyes of God, unless he who comes brings that fresh new light with him. This sleep of matter can never be conquered, and earth will never be able to stand face to face with God. All things obscure, his knowledge must relume. Relume is relight. All things that have gone dark and vague, he must have a knowledge that can light up again. All things perverse, his power must unknot. He must pass to the other shore of falsehood sea. We are at one end of the sea, falsehood. We have to go to the other end. He must enter the world's dark to bring their light. He cannot always stay on the heights of light. He has perforce to enter and go to the bottom of darkness, and take light there. The heart of evil must be bared to his eyes. Why do they have to suffer? Why should he have to meet evil? We ask. Here is the explanation. He must enter, the heart of evil must be bared to his eyes. He must see exactly from where the evil arises. What is the evil at its intensity before he can tackle it. He must learn its cosmic dark necessity. What is the necessity of evil? What is the necessity of the brood of evil, which is pain and suffering? He must know, he must learn its right and its dire roots in nature's soil. It has a right to be under certain conditions. It is only when you remove those conditions that evil will disappear. He must know the thought that moves the demon act. We see a demon acting, a demon possessing human beings and the human beings acting in a perverse way, we condemn. It says, what moves them to do it? What is the thought that impels the demon to act in the way he does? He must know the thought that moves the demon act and justifies the titan's erring pride. The titan, the asura, that does objectionable things, he is proud of them. He is proud of doing those. He may err, but he is proud of it. Now, what is it that justifies that attitude in the mind of the titan? And the falsehood lurking in earth's crooked dreams, he must come face to face with it and know why it is there and how it has got there. He must enter the eternity of night, where night is perpetual, where night is all-pervading. He must enter there and know God's darkness as he knows his Son. The Savior knows his Son of light all right. The Son of truth he knows intimately. But he must also know God's darkness. It is not enough to know God's Son or God as Son, but God's darkness also he must fathom and know. For this he must go down into the pit. The avatar has to go down into the pit. For this he must invade the dolorous, vast, dolorous, painful, griefful, vast, large plains. He must invade with his weapons of light. Imperishable and wise and infinite. He may be imperishable, he may be very wise, and he may be infinite. Yet he still must travel hell, the world to save. In order to save the world, he must have to visit the hell. Into the eternal light he shall emerge. Only after doing that, he will emerge into the eternal light on borders of the meeting of all worlds. That is, the truth is, where the darkness of the inconscient ends, extreme, on the other side, there is the world of light. So when you go to the extreme of evil, you emerge into the beginning of light, into the beginning of God. Into the eternal light he shall emerge on borders of the meeting of all worlds. There, where you emerge from another angle, it is also the summit. The lowest depths and the highest heights are same, give the same vision, give the same experience. There on the verge of nature's summit steps, the secret law of each thing is fulfilled. All contraries heal their long dissidence. Their age-long opposition is healed. There meet and clasp the eternal opposites. Their pain becomes a violent fiery joy on that summit. On that border, pain becomes a violent fiery joy. You can't bear that joy and you feel the pangs of pain. Evil turns back to its original good. At the source of evil, there is some good. That good has got deformed and turned what we call evil. That is why Sri Aurobindo observes elsewhere that evil is good in the making, and sorrow lies upon the breasts of bliss. Sorrow and bliss are companions. Somewhere I think Sri Aurobindo says, sorrow is the sob of bliss. It can't contain itself. She has learned to weep glad tears of happiness, bliss. Her gaze is charged with a wistful ecstasy. Then shall be ended here the law of pain. It is only when the world Saviour has gone into the depths, met evil at its extreme, taken the light to the pits of darkness, and emerged into the plenary light, the borders of the worlds, that then shall be ended here the law of pain. Earth shall be made a home of heaven's light. A seer heaven born shall lodge in human breast. Not the present crude, cunning ego, but a heaven born being shall lodge in human breast. The superconscient being shall touch men's eyes. Our eyesight, men's eyesight, will function with the light of a superconscient being. And the truth-conscious world come down to earth, invading matter with the Spirit's ray, awaking its silence to immortal thoughts. The silence and the dumbness of matter shall awake to immortal thoughts, awaking the dumb heart to the living word, the mantric word, the potent word. This mortal life shall house eternity's bliss. The body's self taste immortality. Then shall the world Redeemer's task be done. Then and then alone will the mission of the world Redeemer be deemed to be fulfilled. When the truth-conscious world come down to earth, invading matter with the Spirit's ray, awaking its silence to immortal thoughts, awaking the dumb heart to the living word, this mortal life shall house eternity's bliss. The body's self, not the inner self, but even the body's self, the body's self taste immortality. Then shall the world Redeemer's task be done. After giving this picture, the poet says, till then must life carry its seed of death. You can't escape the grip of death as long as you live. And sorrow's plaint be heard in the slow night, in darkness, when there is not enough consciousness. The plaint, the complaint of sorrow will continue to be heard. O mortal, that's why he says, O mortal, bear this great world's law of pain. In thy hard passage through a suffering world, if thou hast to bear the law of pain, how dost thou proceed? He answers, in thy hard passage through a suffering world, lean for thy soul's support on heaven's strength. Do not depend upon yourself, but lean on the strength of heaven. Turn towards high truth. Aspire to love and peace. You may not have it, but aspire for that. To aspire for love and peace itself forges a link in the subtler world, and gradually as the aspiration builds itself, they become concrete, some sort of hooks on love and peace. A little bliss is lent thee from above, even as you are. A little bliss is lent thee from above. A touch divine upon thy human days. Make of thy daily way a pilgrimage. Don't just live, but make each day a journey, a pilgrimage towards God. Make it sacred, make it holy. For through small joys and griefs thou movest towards God. Whether thou art conscious or not, mindful or not, the soul moves towards God even through small joys and griefs. They are not meaningless after all.